Welcome to book blog number 6. Today I shall be talking about Odd Thomas by Dean Koontz, and as usual I'm going to start by reading to you. This is where we meet Odd Thomas for the first time, and he is being typically modest. I am such a non-entity by the standards of our culture that People magazine not only will never feature a piece about me, but might also reject my attempts to subscribe to their publication on the grounds that the black hole gravity of my non-celebrity is powerful enough to suck their entire enterprise into oblivion. I am 20 years old, and a demographics expert might conclude that my sole audience is other young men and women currently adrift between their 20th and 21st birthdays. That's the introduction over with. Okay, Odd Thomas is a 20-year-old short order cook from the fictional California town of Pico Mundo. Odd Thomas is his real name. He has a girlfriend called Stormy Llewellyn, and he has two supernatural gifts. Firstly, he can see and communicate with the dead. Secondly, he can foresee death in the shape of shadowy canine-like figures he calls Bodarks, who circle people who are about to suffer an untimely death. He is close friends with the local police chief, White Porter, and Odd Thomas sometimes uses his skills to help Chief Porter solve high-profile crimes. Odd Thomas is also friends with a morbidly obese writer called Little Ozzy, and Little Ozzy was responsible for persuading Odd Thomas to write down his memoirs on the understanding that they would be published posthumously, meaning, of course, that Odd Thomas is in fact now dead. Okay, one day, a customer in the Pico Mundo grill catches Odd Thomas's eye. This man is unclean, he's dirty, and Odd Thomas quickly nicknames him Fungus Man on account of this, but his lack of personal hygiene isn't what is worrying Odd Thomas. No, Odd Thomas is concerned about the fact that Fungus Man is circled by a swarm of Bodarks. Odd Thomas becomes concerned, so he finds out where Fungus Man lives. He breaks in, he does some digging, and he learns that Fungus Man's real name is Bob Robertson, and he also learns that Robertson/Fungus has an unhealthy interest in murder. A room in his house is set aside for studying the lives and times of serial killers, and he has a framed picture of Charles Manson on his wall. More worryingly, Fungus Man keeps a file on himself which is empty, apart from a page which has been torn from a page-a-day diary. The entry is empty, but the date in question is the following day, and Odd Thomas becomes convinced that a mass murder is about to take place right there in Pico Mundo. Odd Thomas enlists the help of Chief Porter, but when Chief Porter is shot at and hospitalised, Odd realises he must act alone, and Fungus Man is murdered around this time, and his body is dumped at Odd Thomas's flat. Okay, to raise the stakes even higher, Odd Thomas starts to suspect that this atrocity will take place at the town's shopping mall, where his girlfriend, Stormy Llewellyn, works. The next day at the mall, Odd Thomas's worst fears are confirmed. He hears machine gun fire, he sees mass panic, and he is forced to battle two corrupt and highly armed police officers. It turns out the corrupt officers have been planning the attack for several weeks, and we also learn that they are Satanists who see this dreadful deed as an offering for their new master. Odd Thomas does manage to take out the gunman, but there is a small number of fatalities, and a third gang member has driven a truck loaded with plastic explosives into the building. Odd Thomas finds the truck, he uncovers the bomb, and though the driver flees to avoid being killed by his own blast, he returns to shoot at Odd Thomas, who, despite taking 2 bullets in the back, manages to pull the wire from the bomb's battery, and by doing this, Odd Thomas saves the lives of hundreds, if not thousands, of innocent people. There's more, of course, but I've left out certain things. One of the killers is still at large. I make no bones about the fact that I did this purely to make you curious to go and buy a copy. Okay, let's talk about the book. Odd Thomas was published in 2004, and with the benefit of hindsight, I think it's fair to say that this was Dean Koontz's attempt to update his style for a modern audience. Certain things stay the same, of course. We have a protagonist who is almost superhumanly virtuous, and of course who has endured a traumatic childhood. Odd Thomas is estranged from both of his parents, including especially his criminally insane mother, who, without giving away too much, is responsible for Odd Thomas's lifelong fear of guns. The difference is that Post-millennium, Dean Koontz's characters have become distinctly blue-collar, whereas in the past, a lot of Koontz's leads were glamorous. They were wealthy, they were rich, they were often overachievers, and it seems like to me that Koontz moved away from this, feeling that young audiences would consider this old-fashioned and unrealistic. Another big difference is the fact that the events in Odd Thomas take place over a time frame of roughly 24 hours, whereas Koontz's earlier novels often span several days, weeks, if not months or years. The good news is this works. There's nothing forced or cynical about this updated approach, and it still comes very much from the heart. So what did I like about Odd Thomas? Well, I like the fact that Odd Thomas is accompanied at times by the ghost of Elvis Presley. In one memorable chapter, Odd is talking to a female friend who talks about the difficulty of finding love in the modern world, and Elvis is so moved by her story that he breaks down and sobs on her behalf, which I thought was a lovely touch. I liked his girlfriend, Storm Llewellyn. Dean Koontz describes her sass and her wit and her smouldering good looks vividly, and that will never fail to keep at least 50% of your readers interested. There's a lovely part in the story where Odd Thomas is searching Fungus Man's house. He finds a room that is pitch black despite there being a light on in the hallway. Odd Thomas enters the room somewhat nervously, takes several steps, then he looks back at the doorway and sees himself checking out the room as he had done just moments earlier. Very eerie and very enjoyable. Okay, I like the Bodarks, these shadowy jackal-like figures that circle death and can walk up walls. Very creepy, very imaginative. What I liked best was the surprise ending. I won't give it away, but I remember the first time I read Odd Thomas, I remember thinking to myself, Steve, how did you not see that coming? And I can only assume that I probably didn't want to. I think I wanted that sucker punch ending, and be assured it is a sucker punch ending. Whether you figure it out first or not, there is a chance that this ending may leave a tear in your eye. Okay, there's lots more, but I've left plenty out. Hopefully I have succeeded. I've managed to whet your appetite and you will go and get a copy. As you know, I don't do stars, but I will say that, having read Odd Thomas when it was first published, it was even better the second time around. As usual, I've saved the best till last. Here we go. I'm going to read you another choice selection. By streets and alleyways, along a footpath bisecting a vacant lot, through a drainage culvert, drive for months and then to streets again, I made my way home at a brisk pace. Bodarks were abroad. First I saw them at a distance, a dozen or more, racing on all fours. When they passed through dark places, they were discernible only as a tumult of shadows, but street lights and gatepost lamps revealed them for what they were. Their lithe motion and menacing posture brought to mind panthers in pursuit of prey. Absolutely lovely. See you next time, guys. Have a good one.